To reiterate, Christoph's thank you very much for joining us and braving the fight through the en route. I mean, Chris and I will be racing to the airport after this to make sure we can get back to Singapore for a long weekend. I've just been asked to give you a bit of a macro, global, regional snapshot, so I'll be reasonably brief before handing over to Chris. But just sort of starting off, obviously the demographics in Asia Pacific are changing very, very rapidly. One of those clearly is urbanization, and we're expecting 300 million people to move into Asia Pacific cities between now and 2026. And obviously nowhere else in the world sees numbers like that. We also see an aging population, hundreds of millions more people between now and 2026 will be above 65. Technology, Asia Pacific, probably the world's fastest adapter of technology driving e-commerce. And Asia Pacific still, because of these fundamentals, is seen as a very attractive investment proposition by investors. They see it as an opportunity to divest their portfolios, de-risk their portfolios, and look at more fundamentals, stronger fundamentals of growth that they would see elsewhere in the world. And let's just look at some of the high-level stuff out there. So the first one I've already mentioned, e-commerce. As I mentioned, Asia Pacific is really adopting e-commerce very, very quickly. The market here, e-commerce market here, is a $1.6 trillion business. It's the largest business in the world, China, #1 market. And that has a fundamental impact on real estate. Areas of real estate that you wouldn't normally imagine, for example, because of the whole cloud storage, data storage push, we need a whole emerging asset class called data centers, which 10 years ago didn't really exist as an investable asset class. So data centers are being sought after, and of course logistics hubs are being sought after, as there's a rush for this last mile delivery. Everything's got to be delivered in 24 hours. So you see this huge rush for logistics hubs, not just in emerging markets, but in the emerging markets. And we're predicting that there will be 3 billion square feet of additional logistics space in the next 10 years, which is significant. And markets in this part of the world, China, India, Indonesia, are really driving huge growth. And we see that coming into the Philippines, which we can talk about a little bit later on. So let's talk about living. We've talked about urbanization. This is a clear driver of residential demand. It's obvious. Hundreds of million people moving into cities, they need a roof over their head. But we're starting to see a new trend, and there's this demand for sort of more alternative residential, not your traditional residential for either lease or residential to buy. It's student accommodation, millions of students looking for accommodation. The emergence of co-living on the back of co-working. This is quite a hot topic. This drives around the affordability issues of people in the world finding it difficult to buy expensive accommodation or looking to lease. Multi-family, which means single-owned blocks leased out to families, is becoming a hot sought-after asset class. There's a very, very big business in the US and increasingly coming to this part of the world as families cannot afford to buy residential. And things like nursing home and aged care. These asset classes are providing much more exciting yields or investment returns than traditional real estate. Now, Asia Pacific as a whole, as a market, is becoming increasingly attractive to foreign investment. We expect that to continue over the years to come. Investment volumes in Asia Pacific this year, first half of this year, were close to $86 billion. Total volume of investment in Asia Pacific. That is a record year for Asia Pacific, record half year for Asia Pacific. And Asia Pacific, of the three regions, America, Europe, and Asia Pacific, is the only one that showed growth. Globally, investment volumes went down 9%, but in Asia Pacific, up 6%. So I think that really justifies our comment that Asia Pacific is strong fundamentals, strong investors looking into the market. We've certainly seen outbound investment from Asia into the rest of the world also increasing. We saw in the first half of this year $8.5 billion of money, capital from Asia Pacific going global, and that 8.5 was distributed broadly, 2.4 billion into the US, the rest into Europe. And that's something we expect in the next 5 years will increase threefold. As Asian capital becomes more mature, they want to divest their portfolios, they want to go global. So Asia Pacific is starting to become very attractive to global capital, but also being a big part of global capital. And the last thing I want to talk about very briefly is PropTech. This is a huge emerging, probably technology in real estate has been very slow. The good news is real estate is catching up. Everyone says, what's PropTech? Well, I always say, think about FinTech. You know what FinTech technology has done to the banking sector. It's improved the whole customer experience. This is something we're starting to see, a big trend. Billions of dollars are going into PropTech to improve the whole customer experience. It's very B2C focused today, which is therefore the residential sector. We're starting to see it come into more our world, the commercial sector, B2B, and also the importance of smart cities. This is something that many governments are looking at. China, Singapore, Japan, and India, very focused on smart cities and the need to build better infrastructure, maximize efficiency of cities, transport, pollution, sustainability, to make cities more livable. And technology has a huge part to play of gathering the data, the whole Internet of Things. Many governments, many developers building smart cities, and capturing that, because if you become a more livable city, you become a more attractive city to live in and a more attractive city to invest in. So this is equally important. And I want to show you something a little bit off real estate, just a bit light-hearted here, a bit of something exciting that we're doing. JLL is very much a brand of ambitions. If you look around our office, you'll see achieve ambitions everywhere. So we're a brand that has big ambitions. We're also a brand that's very focused on cities, a business that's focused on cities. And we really think we represent the heartbeat of cities. And we also love telling stories of urban ambitions of what's happening in these cities. So we kind of put these two things together to create something which we think is quite exciting for JLL. I'll just show you a brief video, and of course happy to answer a few questions later. So this is fresh, brand new. It's captured a lot of the attention of the media in the region. Why is JLL sponsoring climbing? Well, climbing has become, or wall climbing has become, this is the first time it's going to the Olympics in Japan in 2020. We think it's a real urban sport. It's quite an upcoming, youthful, kind of culty, almost on the edge of surfing type like sport, but very urban, and we want to be everything urban. So we've got these 6 young climbers that we're sponsoring, and we're hoping that 1 or 2 of them will make it to the Olympics, and even better, that they will get an Olympic medal. But this is something we want to continue, so you should start seeing JLL's name posted around the urban areas of cities where we're sponsoring these climbers and climbing halls. So something a bit light-hearted, but happy to answer some questions on that later. So I'm going to hand over to Chris next.
Thank you, Anthony.